103.5 Kids FM, Boise's #1 hit music station. I'm Kekeluv, and on the phones via satellite, I got Nora Colette right here from the Treasure Valley. Both Bora and Capitol High students, friends, and now activists, now celebrities. They have, and by the way, these girls, not even old enough to vote, helped spearhead and put together the local march on the Women's March on Washington, and not only that, worked to coordinate the one in D.C. So right here, local superstars, say what's up, ladies.
Hi, Nora. Hi, Colton.
I just want to start with number one. I feel honored to have both of you on the phone right now because you did something that nobody else would have done, no adults would have done, and this topic to some people is kind of controversial, which I'm sure that you've heard or you've seen on Facebook, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Okay, so I'd like to start by saying congratulations to the both of you for having the courage to come out and stand up with women, number one. So pat yourself on the back. We'll all do it together.
Thank you.
And then number two, tell me the misconception here.
I mean, it's kind of confusing because it was different for a lot of people. Us organizing it, it wasn't an anti-Trump march. It was like a pro-women's rights march because it's super relevant in Idaho. Whether people decided to make it about Trump or a message to the new administration, that is also still relevant. But I personally think that he is our president, and we need to embrace him. Because if we embrace him, then he has to represent us. Then in that, like, he needs to represent all the marches and what they stood for and what everyone was marching for on Saturday.
No, I definitely, no one can deny that on the national level, this march was targeted at the new administration. It is in their mission statement, so it's pretty hard to say it's not directly at the new administration, but I do believe that Nora and I wanted this to be about so much more than just Trump. I think that it's so relevant here in Idaho that we wanted to shine a light on not only, what's going on nationally, but what also is going on locally. And along the lines of that, everyone was marching for so many different things. People were marching for reproductive rights, for their daughters, for their moms, for their grandmas. So it was really personalized to different people.
Is there a story that stands out to you, Colleen, that maybe you came across that affected you at all from all the people that were marching that you probably spoke to?
Definitely. There was actually a mother on our committee, and she always walked around with her little daughter and her papoose. And every time we sat down and did introductions, she said, you know what, I'm marching so that my daughter can go to Planned Parenthood when she's 16 and get birth control behind my back. And she just, no mom wants her daughter to do that, but she was able to look past herself. And I think that really showed that it's so important here in Idaho that people stand up for women's rights.
Nora, is there a story that stood out to you?
I think some of the stories that really stood out to me, especially though, were the women from the Latina and Native American communities, just because in Idaho they do get the short end of the stick, especially one of our speakers, Jennifer Martinez, who is a representative, and she ran against Rothwell, Labrador, and she just has a really inspiring story, and she's, despite losing in that kind of election, she's working with the Idaho Coalition, and her stories, I definitely think that she's one of the more inspirational people that were out there on Saturday.
So let me ask you a question. Let's be honest. You're kind of celebrities now, right? I'm sure everybody, who's the biggest celebrity that's tweeted out to you, that has called you, that has reached out?
Nora?
We got a shout out from Hillary Clinton, as well as Teen Vogue on the national level. Those are the two. We also helped organize the National Women's March on Washington along with the one on Idaho.
So how does that happen? Because, how old are y'all?
I just turned 18.
18? You're both 18?
No, I'm
16.
16. So, some people turning 16, they're thinking about how cool it is to have a license and, to drive on the highway and, go where they're not supposed to go. And, 18...
I still think that's pretty cool. Definitely a lot of emailing in class.
Yeah, it's funny. Teachers will be stop texting, and Colette will hold up her phone and be like, I'm emailing.
What's the next step for y'all?
We're having a meeting actually on Wednesday to determine that. At this point, we do want to do some workshops. We want to also kind of help the National March launch their 10 Days of Action in the first 100 Days campaign.
So pause. I just read about that. So real fast, what is the 10 Day of Actions over the next 100 days. What is that?
Cool.
It seems cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's like I want to say it's like a guideline for activism for people that don't maybe have like the resources that a lot of people do if they're working in the legislature and things like that. And so they give ideas such as writing letters to your senator about legislation and how to do that and what the format is. And so it's just like a really user-friendly kind of thing that's necessary for citizens to do if they want to be involved.
So let me ask you a question. Really cool. If I decide that I want to run for office, because after all this has been going on, the other night I talked to my wife and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to run for some kind of office that does something that can make decisions and help people out. Would you guys work on my campaign?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, listen, on a serious level, I am really proud of you, and I look up to you. If there's a message that you want to send out to somebody, because, I mean, I think what's kind of cool is you might have done what everybody thinks about doing. So forget about the Women's March, right? Just something that you've always wanted to do that some people don't have the strength to do. I do a lot of stuff with domestic violence, and sometimes a lot of people want to get out of domestic situations, but they don't have the strength to do it. This was a lot to do this because not only did you put yourself out there, but you put yourself out there for criticism too. And I know that can be difficult, especially at your ages. So I really do applaud you for that. But what advice would you give to somebody else that might be thinking about doing something, whether it's activism or whether it's getting out of a subject? Where do you find the strength, and what would you tell them? I know that's a loaded question, but I respect you, and I think you probably have a good answer for somebody.
I think the advice I would give to someone is that everybody has their kind of like pocket interests, whether they want to fight against sexual and domestic violence, or they really believe in feminism or reproductive rights or those kinds of things. There's all these things that people are it's kind of taboo to come out and support these things. My advice is that hard work pays off. I mean, look at Colette and I. And even though you are going to get criticism, I think for every one person that criticizes us, we have 5 people supporting us, and it's really inspiring. And so I just want people to kind of find the bravery in themselves and find out that it really does pay off to just kind of stick up for what you stand for and put yourself out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's so important to realize that if you're getting criticism, most likely you're doing something right. The first time Nora and I were ever really harshly criticized, all our friends said, you know what, this means you're actually making a difference and you're doing something. I would say that one thing that really helped me come out as maybe a huge liberal or like a huge feminist, I would say that it really helped to have someone standing by my side. And you have to find the strength within. And I think Nora and I both found that, and we were able to use that to help each other. And I think it was amazing to have someone to lean on during this entire time.